My scripture reading this morning is taken from the book of John, 15th chapter, first through the seventh verse. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away, and every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine, it no more can ye. Except ye abide in me, I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me, you can do nothing. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch and is withered. And as men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. If ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ye shall ask whatever ye will, and it shall be done unto you. So is the scripture reading of John, 15th chapter, the first through the seventh verse. Again, I say unto you, good morning and blessing. You know, the scripture starts off by saying that which you hear me say very often, which is the very truth and the very essence of what we are. It is that which was spoken to Moses on Mount Sinai from the burning bush. And that is, I am. This is the consciousness speaking through and saying to us what it is that I am. The true vine, the Father. And scripture states that every branch, meaning you and I, well, we are the branches of the vine. If we dwell not, or if we are not a part of the vine, then we bear no fruit. We cannot be prosperous, we cannot be successful, for we know not the source. Or in a sense, in our worldly thinking, we have turned away from the source that maintains and sustains us. And when we have turned away, we cannot be prosperous and successful. For we have turned away from the very life force that illuminates every fiber of our being. And as scripture states, abide in me and I in you, which means that there is no separation. There is no separation we might consciously think it so, that we are not a part of God's consciousness. We are not a part of God's spirit. And so, in our worldly thoughts and our worldly mind, when we turn away from the true vine, life still sustains our bodies. But in consciousness, we are turned away from the light and we try to find our way in the darkness. Things of the world that are forever changing, fleeting from us. And so, as scripture states, when we are one with the vine, when we're one with this God consciousness, that is the very essence of what we are, we bringeth forth much fruit in all areas of our lives. Now, we can look out at the world and see that there are some people, a whole lot of folks, that do not believe in anything other than themselves. And I've known people to say to me, it's not God, it is I. The things that I have acquired, God didn't give them to me. I had to work for these things. I had to get up and go. I had to make some sacrifices. These are the things that I have earned. God didn't give them to me. But there is one question that they cannot answer, and that is, who or what gave you life to be able to acquire the things that you have? Well, some would say my mother and my father. Who gave them life? And then we're going to go to the grandparents and go back and back and back. Where did it all start? With God. With God. This life, this I am that is within you and within me, is the source of all that we have. You've heard me say many times that when you get up in the morning and you're looking in the mirror or wherever you are and you come into the presence of a mirror, look into that mirror, look directly into your eyes and beyond, and speak it with conviction and with feeling. I am the consciousness, the spirit, and the life of God manifesting in and through this physical body. And when you speak it, feel it, because you will be speaking the very essence and the truth of what you are. You see, the consciousness and the spirit of God does not change forever. It's everlasting. And you know, as I've come to know and to witness, and I'm sure many of you have, you've got pictures around your home, pictures in your scrapbook, And you can look at those pictures of yourself and see how you have changed over the years. I look into the mirror and I ask, what am I? Because this physical feature has changed so much over the years that I'm at a point that I don't recognize the person that I was a few years ago. The physical features have changed so much, but there is something within me that has remained the same. There is something within me that I can sense, see, and feel within me is unchangeable. And it is from this inner being, this inner consciousness that I live, move, and have my being. The I am within me, as within you, never change. Now, here's one thing I want to say to you, as scripture states, that when you abide in me, when you abide in that consciousness of God, in that consciousness of I am, and the truth, the words of truth abides within you. Scripture states that you can, and you will ask for whatever it is, and it shall be done unto you. The power of I am is God within you. And we must know from the very depths of our being that there is no power but the power of God. Now, we would say that, as I say down home, them there folks got some power, and them there other folks have some power. They have no power. Only God. It's the same thing about money. Folks think, believe, and live by the thought that money has power. Money has no power. It is that which we place on it from our consciousness. And you've heard me say many times when I did demonstrations, you can take a dollar bill or something out of your pocket. I don't suggest that you do it. And put a match to it. Don't put it directly, but put it close to it. And see what happens. It has no power to defend itself. If you got $100,000 on your nightstand and you're laying in the bed sick and you need a doctor, you need to call someone, tell your money to make a telephone call. Call 911 or call a friend and tell a friend you're in need of some help. Your money will just be. It has no power of its own. It is that which we place upon it. The only power in all of the world, all of life, is the power of God within you. It is by the power of God within us that we have brought forth into outer manifestation the things that we have, the things that we enjoy. It is by the power of I am that we have brought positive and constructive things into our life, as well as the negative things that we don't want. When we don't understand the very essence of what we are and that which maintains and sustains us, we walk in darkness. And when we walk in darkness, we stumble and we fall. And in our thinking, we make wrong decisions. When we think that it's all our doing, surely we might have, as they say, a nice home, fine car, few dollars in our bank account. But how did these things come about? By the power and the blessings of that which is within us. Now, I know, and I've heard it so many times, that if God is within me, how come my life is in such turmoil? How come it that I'm struggling, having hard times, in and out of bad relationships, can't find a good job, having trouble on the job, all manner of things that appears to be or seems to be in opposition to what God would want for me. God only wants the best for you. What is it that you want for yourself? Well, most of you would say, as I've heard, all I want is, I want the best for myself. I want what is good for me. How do you go about bringing forth the best? How do you go forth about bringing the good? Just state it. Just state it in the scripture. We must be and must stay connected to the vine. The vine is the source that provides all life. God is the source that provides all life and all good. Nobody else, nothing else. When you open your eyes and look out at the world, everything that you see and behold is the manifestation and expression of God. All that you see, physical and materially, has come through the minds of someone else. And the minds of someone else is the consciousness and the Spirit of God. There is nothing that is not of God. Everything, even your children. Well, I made these children. I brought them in the world. I did what I had to do. But it was God behind every act. God, the life force working in you and through you. And I've said many times in the past, our children don't belong to us. They belong to God. We are guardians over the things that belong to God, even our children. And so when we come to our children, we must do the very best that we can to teach them truth, to tell them the very essence of what they are and what they must do to attune themselves to that vine, to that consciousness that is within them, so that they may go forth and be fruitful. And you know, as it said in the Old Testament, God spoke and said, be fruitful. Go forth, be fruitful, and multiply. Well, you don't have to be, or you can be, but that statement doesn't basically pertain to being fruitful and multiplying in the material and physical world. Be fruitful and multiply in your spiritual awareness, your spiritual consciousness, in your spiritual dominion. See, we must understand and know that we are first divine spiritual beings. And as scripture states, created in the image and likeness of God. And when we internalize that we are one, always one with the source, and the life that maintains and sustains us, we draw from this vine, from this source, from this God consciousness within us. It maintains and sustains us. And we can look out in the world and we see people going through trying situations and conditions, and people doing all manner of things that is contrary to what is right or righteous. Well, they have become like the withered branch. They have turned away from the source. And so their life, it appears to be without meaning, without purpose. And it brings forth struggles, hard times, and all of the things that keeps us from enjoying all that God has for us. We must always remember this to the very best of our ability, that every man, woman, and child, regardless of race, creed, or color, is a child of God. We might see some things, hear some things, know some things that we don't like. But beyond the outer appearances, we must recognize the divinity, the divine spark within them. And you see, I'm going to say this, that's why we have ministers, preachers, teachers, especially when it comes to the spiritual path. And as Jesus said, he didn't come for the righteous. You see, the righteous didn't need masters, they need teachers and pastors and all of those. Jesus came for those that was lost, that had no sense of direction, stumbling and falling in the darkness of ignorance. That is why he came, not for the righteous. And you hear some folks say, well, I'm righteous, I don't have to go to church. I already know. And in the very essence of saying, the church is for those who are trying to find their way, or for those that have lost their way. You see, a person that has perfect health in perfect health has no need for a doctor. The doctor is for those that are sick. So are the ministers, teachers, the preachers are for those that are spiritually lacking. And so as we walk this path as ministers and teachers and preachers, we have to stay connected to the vine. We have to stay connected to that God consciousness within us. And those that we have come to assist, we must be instrumental in turning them within to the source and helping them to attune themselves to the source that maintains and sustains every fiber of their being. You know, one day we're all going to have to pass this way, leave this way. We're going to have to lay down physical bodies. And yet many of us, we've laid plans to go to heaven. We're going to go to heaven, we're going to be with God. But if you live with the belief that you are the physical body, when that body is no more, where are you? You've also heard people say that when they come upon someone that's sick and everything, and they know they're getting ready to make that transition in a period of time, they said, get your house in order. Get your house in order. And a lot of times we think that means getting all the material, physical things together, making sure we got a will and all of this. But getting your house in order, the very essence of your being, getting your soul, your spirit in order, getting your consciousness in order, because you're getting ready to make another journey. And you want to be prepared. And in preparation, you carry nothing with you. It's all in your consciousness. Getting your house in order is getting your consciousness, your soul, your spirit in order, so that you are prepared for the next leg of the journey. You know, this physical body is like an automobile. And we are the intelligence. Just as we are the intelligence, or the I am is the intelligence in this physical body, we are the intelligence that drives the automobile. It is the intelligence that turns the key and starts the automobile and moves it to and fro. That is what the I am does in this body. This body is the vehicle in and through which the I am works, controls. And you know that when you come to a stop with your automobile and you turn it off and you go into your home, well, your automobile remains stationary, doesn't go anywhere. But the intelligence that drove that automobile is still functioning. It's still alive, going on to do other things. And so it is with this spirit, the I am in this physical body. When it is no longer useful, when the motor has turned off, the consciousness that once operated this vehicle still continues, because the consciousness or the I am is one with the vine, with God. And as we abide in this consciousness of I am, or the consciousness of God, we can do all things, because all things emanates from the consciousness of God. There is nothing that we cannot do when we are tuned to the consciousness of God within us. I want to leave you with this. I know there's going to be some of you that will not be able to get up in the morning, this evening, go and stand in front of a mirror and say to yourself, I am God manifesting and expressing in and through this physical body. As some folks going to have some difficulties in saying that. There's going to be some folks that say, well, I don't look like God. I don't feel like God. How can I be God? Oh, as big as God is, can he be in this little teeny bitty body? You must understand that this body is in the consciousness of God. All things are in the consciousness of God. And so your life, as you move forward upon this physical plane of existence, must always be, I am the light of God, manifesting and expressing in and through this physical body. This body is the vehicle through which God, the Spirit, the consciousness, is manifesting and expressing on this plane of existence. And the I am that you are, the I am that is within your physical body, will never cease to be. And so it is. Namaste. Blessing you.